It's got a little. This is the oldest. That's great.
Well, some of you have tools and things.
Yeah, somebody smarter than me.
Okay, I like things functional. Hi, Mr. Dr. Head, this is Ken.
John did.
This is my sweet little baby. This is Macarena, and she will be, and Johnny, and he will appreciate, John works at, represent the Grange College, so in the community. So, and I'm gonna over here with you on our partnership.
Zoom.
Check on the state.
Well, good. Yeah, I remember the Zoom.
Yeah, I'll talk about
That seems like a long time ago.
Early February.
Are you excited for next week?
Yes.
Yeah, we are doing conferences next week in Tennessee. But I've got to go tomorrow to Greenville, so I feel like the substitute is 17 days. So I think I have 16 in, tomorrow, and then 19. And I gotta keep 19 people, like 1 week and 17, yeah, right now. Well, then we gotta bring in 42 new ones. So, all right, let's combine, I don't know.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Let me ask you, of course, you have been making the presentation. Where do you want my people?
Probably just have her bring a chair right up here. We can even keep a chair, like right when I come up, we can sit a chair.
So maybe we can put.
Yep, so that way. Yep, thank you for bringing her.
Mark, how you doing? How was it yesterday? I was glad to do it. Should we stay long? Hey, Jim. Man, thank you so much. Yes.
Right here.
You know, we do that on YouTube, but if you need to do that.
Oh, absolutely.
I have no plan.
So you were saying there's increase in interest in the.
Well, over here is a checklist that will be closer to our 2018 numbers, which is good.
Thank you for your help.
Let me know.
If I forget my jet driver, won't be the first one.
No, this is
Yeah. Yeah. We had somebody, excited, got in sitting in the good street. And so, she is really, orchestra, with, heavy strings. And it sounded the range because the band strings, strings.
But like I said, I did know that, just keeping it all. So when we were ever going to stuff like that, so.
Just closer together.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Rotary Club of Design. Please join me in the pledge of allegiance followed by the invocation given by Susan Ferguson. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please pray with me. Dear Lord, we thank you for this absolutely gorgeous day, as we thank you for each and every day that we have the gift of being here. I thank you for every Rotarian in this room and all throughout the world. I ask that we continue to be your hands and feet, and that we just do what you would have us do. I know, dear Lord, we've made a mess of our country and this world. I ask that you just help us put it back together and help us reach out to those who are hurting and those who are in need, and please help us to be aware. Dear Lord, we thank you so much for this food, and we thank you for the staff that prepared it. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Thank you so much. And now I can call on Mr. Blizzard.
Good afternoon. Welcome, everyone. Glad to see you. And our guests today, we have our speakers, and they will be introduced shortly. But we have Leon Childs, who is a guest of Jaja Hurd. And we also have Kelsey Henderson, who is, she's actually related to a Rotarian. Yeah, Henderson, right. So welcome. Thank you so much.
birthdays and anniversaries to go over. So, tomorrow, April 21st, Ken Miles has a birthday. Happy birthday, Ken. And then today, Mark Davis has an anniversary, 26 years. Happy anniversary. Congratulations. Just a few announcements and then we'll get going. First off, please remember to silence your cell phones. I want to say thanks to everybody that made the golf tournament happen last week. First and foremost, to the man upstairs for giving us what felt like the first real day of spring to get out there on the golf course. But thank you to the sponsors, people who paid to have a team in the tournament, the folks that played, and then all the volunteers, Rotarians that got out there and helped pull it all together. So thank you very much to everybody about that. More info to come on how successful it was. We're still working through all that. Thanks to all the volunteers who volunteered to read to the pre-K kids throughout Truth County. Connie sent out a note yesterday. If you didn't get it, see Connie, but she's got the schedule and the names of contacts and the numbers that you can call to schedule time to go to your school. If you didn't get that email, check with Connie and do that. So thank you all for everybody that did that. I also want to say thank you to Jeff Wright. Jeff Wright stepped up to the call last week and said that he would be glad to fill in and do our bulletins for us for the next couple of I think it's going to be a good match, a good fit, and I really appreciate that, Jeff. Remember, I want to remind everybody that the first 2 weeks in May, Kathy will be here to take photos before and after our meetings to update our websites. So if you don't like the one that's out there of you now, we can fix that, or if you don't have one, we can get a new one out there. But remember, he can only work with what he's given. He's not a magician. He's a photographer. And then also remind you that the annual banquet will be on June 9th at LaGrange College, and you should get some invitations for that soon. And then we have a board meeting today, immediately following this at 1 o'clock next door. We got some time for some happy dollars. If anybody wants to put anything in the pot this week.
I do. I have $5 for 2 happy things. One, LaGrange Symphony will have its last concert of the season next Tuesday. It's the first time we'll be back, sort of home, at Callaway Auditorium on LaGrange College campus in 2 years. We hope everybody will come. If you can come, either need tickets or want free tickets, call Raylene Carter at the LaGrange Symphony office. We really want to pack the house. And so we hope you'll come. The music's great and it'll be fun. On a totally different note, Taylor Merrill and I had an adventure this spring with FDR. I had contacts from the Discovery Channel Moonshine TV show, The Moonshiners. So it's Moonshiners American Spirits. You can find it on reruns now. It aired last Wednesday, the first airing. The issue was whether FDR was drinking moonshine. I gave the guys a tour of the little White House, and then Taylor had his great 1938 Packard driving and was a Secret Service man, sort of correcting the FDR reenactor. So it was lots of fun. It was interesting seeing how reality TV is sort of made on the come as they were.
Katie, was there any copper wire in the?
It was, they made peach green. So they did.
Not water.
Yeah.
All right, so happy dollars, and now I'd like to ask Chuck Newman to come introduce our program today.
Good afternoon, everyone. The program today is about what I believe is the best program in Rotary. Catherine Fields is the program director of the Georgia Rotary Student Program, recently serving as the marketing director and development director in the program. She worked closely with the GRSP chair, its officers, directors, and trustees, the GRSP Foundation, Rotary clubs in Georgia, and of course, the students. Catherine holds a Bachelor of Arts degree in Communications from Berry College. She's a member of the Griffin Daybreak Club in Griffin, where she and her husband Dale reside. Please welcome Catherine Phillips.
And before I start, I'll introduce my table. Although usually my bio, I don't know if you guys can put that on, usually it's my husband, an avid golfer. And it's funny when I pull up on a place, I usually ask where I'm going, because sometimes he'll tag along. And so, in my circle, I have Macarena, who will perform for us, and I'm saving her till the end, so you'll listen to me first. And she is a student at Columbus State, and from Columbia. And with her is Ken Townsend, who is our longtime trustee for GRSP. And Ken is my 1-800 line whenever I need anything, so I thank him for not putting me on the call block. And next to Ken is Dr. John Head, who is Vice President of Enrollment, do you need the whole title? Enrollment Management at LaGrange College. And so Dr. Head and I have worked together, and I always want to sit next to him at the table, and so today I literally did. And I thank you for the opportunity to be here and to talk about something that is very passionate to me. I was a Rotarian before I went to work for Georgia Rotary Student Program. My former boss was a host family, and I would hear the student come in on Tuesdays, and he would bring her to our staff meeting for deans and directors. And he would always, the vice president, or president rather, some of you may know, Randy Peters, Dr. Randy Peters, and he was at the technical college, and our student from Griffin, we're not very logical. We send our student to University of Georgia because it's not nearby. And so drop them off, give them the whole college experience, but really there's enough people who go back and forth to Athens all the time from our club, so it works out. And I know people have kids that we throw the student in the car and get them back to us. But so needless to say, she would come on Tuesdays and would always talk about the things that they did that now I know are student weekends and the efforts that clubs make. I now know what conclave means, and so now I'm on a mission to make sure that you may know who Paul Harris is, but I want you to know who Will Watt is, and I want you to have the same heart and passion for the same program that I do. And I don't know, how does this, like Jeannie, I just kind of dated myself right there. I'm just remember Jeannie, or Tabitha. Was it Tabitha? Samantha? Samantha. All right. I'm gonna warm up. Until then. Okay, so on Tuesdays, when she would come to our staff meeting, what I loved most is in any professional office setting, you move really fast, and you really think that everybody's on the same page. But what I learned about Anna coming to our visit is that Dr. Peters would tell us, hey, we're gonna start this program, we're gonna drop this program. And just as Maki is in the room, he would turn and explain to her while we were doing this, because he was wanting to mentor and pour into her and give her insight and decision. Well, those of us who are deans and directors in the room are going, that's why we stopped that program, that's why. So after she left, we made an effort to say, when you really break it down for her, we actually learn more, because we all move so fast and we all think we know what each other's doing. So just the GRSP program taught us something on a professional note. It's a little off center, and that's like me, so we'll be just fine. I appreciate your help. I'll keep talking. Okay, so from the beginning, the Georgia Rotary Student Program, for those of you who don't know, we are exclusive to the state of Georgia. There have been 2 other states who have approached us about mimicking the program, because in the end, we are not an exchange program. We offer scholarships to college international students who have not had an affiliation to study in the United States for more than 4 months. So we really want a newness. First, we have been at this program, we're in our 76th year. but there are only 3 paid positions in the nonprofit organization. The rest is volunteer leadership and volunteer trustees such as Ken, who do not get reimbursed for their time, energy, talents, or investment that they make hauling the children, hauling the students all over the state. Tell me when you're ready. It's not working? Guess what? I can talk about it. So, in that, just today we're seeing exciting, colorful photos and things like that, but it's fine. This year, we started out in, with 4 students, and the crazy thing about that is this past year, I really thought we were gonna have 4 students with the pandemic. I was just so convinced that we were gonna go back to that original class, or even maybe that 4. And the students that were in South America were the ones I worried about almost the most, because their numbers were growing, and I started watching world news like never before, just to try and get an idea of what would happen with embassies. But in reality, it was some of our students in other locations that had an uptick right about the time it was for students to come. So for the first time this year, we did a split class. We had about 28 to 30 students. Well, we had 32 students come in August, and then we had another 7 come in January. So it worked out that in the end, I was really concerned that first time the students got together for their student weekend, which was paused because there was another uptick this last February. The first time they got together in person, it was as if they had known each other forever. They were all very inclusive, and 30, out of the students, there were 18 different countries that were represented from the 41. We have a great ratio. If you're a guy, it's 3 girls to 1 guy. And so they definitely appreciate that. I do think across the board, if you follow higher education trends, a lot of times it is your females who are in college and your men are generally out in a workforce that maybe are taking college on the side or online. So it is kind of an interesting dynamic. Another thing I've noticed about international college is that many schools operate on a calendar year internationally, whether it's January to December, and our academic year of August to May sometimes creates a challenge for those who might want to take that gap year off to come study. So all of that being said, what I wanted to tell you the most about today is called our Direct College Program. Maki's here on what's called the Standard Selection Program, and that's the program we've offered for 76 years, and LaGrange has been a pivotal partner with that for many years. And that is where a student applies through their Rotary Club with the endorsement of an international Rotary Club, and they apply for our standard selection, which we literally have like the NFL draft, a selection, and you pick the student and you get to know the student that way. Another program that we decided to offer, and it's a 2-fold process. Part of it was clubs were coming to us saying, if you look at our budget, this is a very high line item, and this school, the rates are getting higher, what can we do? How can we offer this differently? So in it, we came up with what's called the Direct College Selection Program. And what that means is you partner directly with the college. And in that, you piggyback on the recruiting efforts that the college is already paying one of their staff members to do. They're already trying to tout international students from around the world, and this allows the Rotary Club to equip the college with some funding. It is a partial scholarship. Primarily, usually we start out in the $5,000 range, and the GRSP matches up to $6,000. So if you put in $5,000 and we put in $5,000, you're offering $10,000. Most of the time, you can also partner with the college to offer a discounted rate. So that student who's already looking at the college and has already been in the process of applying, it allows the college to sweeten the deal. Just as we're recruiting for students, students are recruiting for colleges. It's a competitive world. And this gives the LaGrange College the ability to say, hey, with this particular student, you would work with your host family and say, are you looking for a female or are you looking for a male? Because that's also important. And in that, you can have the option to work with the college. I work with Oglethorpe, and the club identity says, we don't care if they're male or female, we'll find a host family for them, we just want their brightest and their best. And so, Miriam came to Georgia from Ethiopia. It's 2-fold. It allows us as Rotarians the opportunity to introduce Rotary to a young emerging scholar and potential world leader. So in that, it is a completely similar but different facet. But the minute they accept the scholarship, they become a GRSP student. We all come to Conclave, which is that August celebration For those of you sitting in your seat and hear Conclave is coming up, I did not know what that was for about 4 years as a Rotarian. And that is our kickoff of the academic year for GRSP. That's when our students and our host families come together. We get to introduce them. They see that all the students from around the world are in one place and they get to know each other. And really now through social media, they kind of have their own little underground network that they don't think I know about, but they all kind of know about each other before watch out and things like that, before things that come together. And this is their formal meeting of that. And during that time, we also have a showcase of their talents, or in some cases, they're not talent. And so some of it is they, just like you would at 4-H camp or church camp, that ability to bond from just being thrown together for a full weekend. And from there, there are 6 potential weekends throughout the year that clubs throughout the state really showcase the Peach State for what we are. From the mountains of North Georgia, they just spent a weekend at St. Mary's where they had a low country boil, and they got to do a lot of exciting things. And I remember when Anna came in one Tuesday and she had been to Pelham, and she said, Miss Catherine, I went to the alligator farm and the prison. Wow, you go to the prison. But in the end, she did things that I live in Georgia and haven't done. So I love the hospitality. I love like no other that as a program, we pick you up at the airport. I love the little girl from Ethiopia who told us her dad, I did a Skype with him last summer, and he said, we initially accepted the money for the financial benefit, and he said, but in the end, we've got so many aunties, so many uncles who love my daughter, and in the end, he said she was able to participate in American culture, and she's never had Thanksgiving, and she talked about the big bird, and then he said, then what I remembered is she came home for the holiday, and there was somebody at the airport to pick her up. She didn't have to navigate MARTA for transportation and figure it all out. And before I have Michael come to you, I'm going to tell you that I was waiting for our student. This year, our student was from South Korea. And his name was, on paper, YHNOO. So I was like, Young Ho, that's what it looks like. So I've got this little sign up, and I do not do anything small, so I've got this big sign at the airport. Well, it was a 3-hour delay, and he could not communicate with me, benefiting a 3-hour delay. Finally, I saw on the screen, so I knew it was going to be there for a while, so I'm still sitting here with this sign. And while I was sitting there, this was this past summer, a man came up the escalator, and he pointed at my sign, and he said, I'm married to a GRSP student. Hold up, we're friends, tell me, how this happened? And he said, it was about 1987, I was at Columbus State College. He said, I was there for baseball. And he said, she walked across the parking lot. And I said, I'm gonna marry that girl. And he said, my friends are like, dude, she doesn't even know your life, it's out of your league. And he said, well, before stalking was probably, an event. He said, I really he said, I like to say I just staked out where she hung out. And I found out who her roommates were. He said, potentially just made myself in the same areas. And so he said one thing led to another. They dated toward the end of her year. She went home. He said, my mother thought it would never work out. He said, this was, before a lot of technology. And so he said, 2 years later, my dad's like, I don't guess she's just trying to get a green card. She really must like it. So in the end, they married. They lived just a little in the Bremen area. And he said that, every now and then we'll cross paths and somebody will have a GRSP student and stuff like that. And he said, and I just think, look what GRSP gave me. And I was like, I don't know that. So see, here I was with my big sign, and we are around the world. We have 3,600, a little over 3,600 alumni from 108 countries around the world. And this particular way of working with direct college selection also allows us to work with the colleges. There are some countries where Rotary is closed. And so this does give an opportunity through our strategic plan to say, not only do we need to groom the future generation for what it means to be Rotary to keep our program going, we also need to be able to say, there's some areas where we wouldn't have been able to reach anyway, and if these colleges are recruiting them as students, perhaps this is an opportunity. And so, as I was saying, the program in Colorado that was really looking at what it costs to help start the program, they came back to us and said, financially, the demands that it costs for this program as far as the low cost of tuition, the vast number of volunteers was the one thing that turned them away. They said, we really think we could probably get club support, but it's the work that our trustees do, the commitment of all of that they could not even connect of how every club, like Chuck is in this club, that every club has a person just dedicated, just as we do for the foundation. And many of you may know, like I said, who Paul Harris is, but Will Wattfellow is a cumulative $1,000 contribution, which does have the ability to have 500 matching points. And so if you are interested in that, I'm certainly willing to stay after and talk. And I know your board is meeting. I definitely just would ask that you would consider for this coming year participating in the Direct College program, and Ken and myself are more than happy. And I twisted Dr. Head's arm because I said, I need you here as my friend, but I also need you here as a proponent of the college. And I know that just the Grange College has been in partnership with Georgia Rotary Student Program for so many years, and he's certainly acted to the idea of bringing it back. And so before I have Matthew come, I just want to see if there's any questions from the floor. And first, before I do that, any of you who have served as a host family or a weekend host, if you could just raise your hand so I could just see. Yay! Okay, that's my favorite. You know what I love about that? That's the encyclopedia coming to your home. In a world today where we really don't have world history because we don't have time with a lot of tests and exams and other things, there's a lady who's in the Camden County Club. She keeps her GRSP student's picture on her nightstand, and her granddaughter comes in and checks on her. And she said, we learned more about this country, and now my granddaughter zooms in on that particular area because of having that student come your home. And before Marky comes, she is a two-time family recipient of Georgia Rotary Student Program Scholar. Her sister, Barbie, what's her sister's name? Tammy. Barbara is the host. Okay, sorry. Tammy had been in the program, and Ken's family actually, and some of the Columbus Rotarians went to go see Macarena's family in Columbia, and Macarena was on a study abroad and was in Germany at the time. So she actually didn't even get to meet Ken until she came stateside. But we are so thankful for her, and she has operatic training and is a member of the Choral Arts in Columbus. Something with the fine arts. I know, I love, when I come to Columbus a few times, I'm like, one day I just scooped her up and was like, I'm giving you coffee, but I want you to just talk to me in your eloquent language. And so I do want you to come up here for just a minute before you sing, and you can tell them very quickly how this year has gone and what it meant to you.
Hello, everybody. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me, Catherine. And I just want to tell you how amazing this experience has been. I heard it from my sister. She was here about 10 years ago, and she told me, like, Macarena, you have to go to GRSP. This is going to change your life. And I was like, yeah. But it has. It really has. It's been amazing. And I think one of my favorite parts, I have two favorite things. One is meeting all the other GRSPs, because you don't, like, there's very few opportunities to get that many people from 18 different countries from around the same age in the same room to talk about anything all the time they want. And if we are doing something for a nonprofit, like packing food for children in Africa, or we are planting something in a community farm, or just laying around the pool, we're always talking about things that I would never be able to learn from a book or from a movie, or no, these are only things that you learn from other people, and it's the most beautiful thing. And also talking to the Rotarians, because it's a completely different perspective. Because I think if you're a Rotarian and you dedicate at least 1 hour of your week to come to a club, to listen to a speaker, to donate to different organizations, you are interested and invested in making your community better. And I want to learn from that kind of people. So for me, it's been great listening your stories, where you went to school, how you met your wife, your husband, how many kids you have, what do they do, what you eat, if you like grits with butter, or so it's been amazing. I really want to thank the GRSP organization, and I want to encourage you to really think about getting a student, because every time you do, you're not only impacting their lives, but everyone they talk to. Because they're gonna come, they're gonna change their perspective, they're gonna change the way they think, and they're gonna impact everyone they interact with. So it's a wonderful opportunity to consider.
Following me. And at the end, I will say, the student yesterday that was at, you can come see right here, and we'll let you be on display. The student yesterday I spoke to was from West Georgia College, and he did the direct college program. And I was telling Dr. Head, he is in the top 6 of his class in South Korea, but only the top 4 make it to med school. And that's the entire country that they're measured on in number. And so he said, I was in the top 6, not the top 4, so I did not make it to med school. And he said through some internet conversations with a recruiter out of West Georgia, and you have to applaud them, that they said, come here, take nursing, and you can get into do well, and you can get into med school, and probably at a fraction of the price. And so his parents researched it, and he said, I'm an only child, this was a lot. My mom was putting all her eggs in one basket. And he said, and my culture is very driven for education. So he said, what you need to know is, I spent the first semester in my room, and then when we had a student who wasn't able to come, we reached out to West Georgia and said, is there anyone within your international base who could benefit from a second semester scholarship? We're talking, $10,000, $12,000. And he was like, I'll find someone. So the student said, I was studying for exams, and the phone rang, and of course he's seen this one that says potential spam. And he said, why would I answer this? And before I knew it, I said, hello. It was the international office asking him to come talk to them about the scholarship. He said, I took it for financial reasons. He just told me yesterday, he said, it was the GRSP student who, when he realized that first weekend of the leadership weekend in Dinwiddie, and then the weekend in Pelham, where he too went to the alligator farm and also learned how to putt and chip at a golf course in Pelham, he said that he realized he had been only going from his room to class to the dining hall and made a triangle, back and forth and back and forth. And he said it was the beauty of, he said, GRC thinks they gave me a financial scholarship. He said, they gave me a balance that I didn't know I needed. And he said, I'm still getting my 4.0, but I have students that I can talk to. And she's smiling because Michael, from the first time we met him to now, he's a different person. And just so much personality that's come out of him that I don't know that he even realized he had within him. And so he did tell the club at Pauline yesterday, he said, thank you for this investment. So I can only just tell you that my job's easy. I just get to tell you, that we're here to do good things. And Macarena is going to play, and in closing, if you have anything, I will stay after, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions.
So I was gonna play a song by a Colombian singer, but someone gave me the idea of playing something original. So change of plans. How many of you speak Spanish? Oh, you speak Spanish. Nice. Nice. Okay. So I'm gonna play you. So I'm gonna play you a song that I wrote. I wrote it with my father, and it's about our favorite place in Colombia. It's a description of the landscape, of how tall the mountains are, and where we are, we look over a river. And in the mornings, the clouds are very low, but when it gets hotter, you get a second sunrise. But the skies are clear because it's 3 hours away from the city, and the silence, there's no silence. You only hear crickets and little frogs, and it's just a beautiful landscape. And so although you might not understand the language, I really hope you get the message I'm trying to share. El silencio allí es una sinfonía llena de vida. Aquí las sombras no son solo sombras, son un árbol con corazón, una montaña con alma. Donde se está más cerca del cielo y donde las nubes Cuando esa blanca cortina sube a donde debe estar, el Cauca brilla más que las estrellas en esas noches claras. Noticias de quien vea y que en mis sueños está. Cada amanecer tiene su encanto, su color y me llena el corazón. Cada montaña que en la vista esté suma mi emoción por saber dónde estoy. Yo lo siento y sé que sientes, es tan evidente que los tamarindos mi paraíso es. So I'll go back to my original thing. This is a song also in Spanish because I wanted to sing in Spanish for you. But it's very special because I've been singing my whole life. And my favorite artist was Shakira because she's Colombian. And I loved it. But when I started classes, my teacher was like, maybe you should try something different. But this was my favorite song. It's from Love in Color at Times, which is also written by a Colombian writer. And this is Hay Amores. There are loves. Ay, bien, que no haría yo por ti, por tenerte un segundo, alejados del mundo y cerquita de ti. Ay, mi piel, como el río Magdalena, que se funde en la arena del mar. Yo quiero fundirme en ti. Hay amores que se vuelven resistentes a los años, como el vino que mejora con los años. Así crece lo que siento yo por ti. Hay amores que parece que se acaban y florecen, y en las noches del otoño reverdecen, tal como el amor que siento yo por ti. Ay, mi piel, no te olvides el mar, que en las noches me ha visto llorar tantos recuerdos de ti. Ay, mi piel, no te olvides el día que separó a tu vida de la pobre vida que me tocó vivir. Amores que se vuelven resistentes a los años, como el vino que mejora con los años. Así crece lo que siento yo por ti. Hay amores que parece que se acaban y florecen, y en las noches del otoño reverdecen, tal como el amor que siento por ti. Yo por ti, tal como el amor que siento por ti.
Captain, your passion is beyond obvious what you do in this group. Ken, thank you for being the 800 number that's not blocking Catherine for this, because you guys, the job that y'all doing is just fantastic on Grant. Thank you for sharing your talents with us. It was fantastic. Not all good love stories begin with stalking, so remember that. Maybe they do, but they don't have to. We're so glad that y'all came and shared with us today. I know it's been a tough couple of years, just trying to find normalcy, and hopefully we can work together as a college and bring that back and get back to our rhythm today. In honor of your speaking today, we're going to make a donation to Hollywood Plus, which is Rotary's initiative for the holiness. So thank you for that. Next week we'll feature a program from Kim Adams giving us an update on children's advocacy, the Advocacy Center here in Tree County. Remember that we have a board meeting next door right after this, and we are adjourned. Thank you all.